And elevation too, right? So magnolias are. There's a kind of a parabola high topography with the focus on mountains. Those 3 billion-year-old hard rocks, right? So this makes a cap that sort of seals the topography. The water, the streams do their thing. They keep eroding away, but they're going to be able to erode the soft rocks more easily than they can erode that young cap, right? And so this shows up on the geologic map as Q for quaternary, T for terrace, okay? And these things would have been like, if we look at one of the modern streams, we just crossed one of them, right? So down in a stream valley, one of these little streams that we've been driving across, those streams would have something called alluvium. All right, I'll draw some more soft rocks underneath the stream. Those streams would have something called alluvium in them, sand and gravel deposits that the river is bringing from upstream to the downstream direction. Well, that's what this was. The stream is gone. They were higher in the landscape at the time, and they left the gravel behind, and now they're preserved as those flat benches. Okay. These pieces of gravel are mostly pieces of rock that come from the Beartooths. We can tell the antiquity of this by looking at how much calcium carbonate is on the gravels, by how well the soil is developed on the gravel, or we now have a new technique called terrestrial cosmogenic nuclei dating, where we can basically take the gravel, take a piece of gravel that's at the surface, and the gravel essentially gets a suntan. The longer it's at the surface, the more suntanned it gets. So we take it back and we strip off the top of the boulder. We do some chemistry on it. We do some, put it in an accelerating mass spectrometer. And essentially what happens is that if these have some silicon, some quartz in them, SiO2, the oxygen gets changed to beryllium. And the longer that quartz pebble is at the surface, the more beryllium it has. So we count the number of beryllium atoms, and we get the age of the landform.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we're doing some of that work over in East Rosebud. We're doing some of that work in Rock Creek Valley. It's sort of a technique that's now maybe a decade or two old, and it's been widely applied. We get really precise age for glacial deposits and really precise ages for these benches. So the oxygen changes to beryllium-10, and it has a half-life of about a million years. So we can date deposits that are tens of thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years old really precisely using this technique. Terrestrial cosmogenic nuclides. This gravel has not been dated yet. We haven't done the exercise here. So it just shows up on the map as a general Q for quaternary. That means something like the last million or 2 years, and T for terrace. As you drive around the region or visit like Joliet, Boyd, Red Lodge, people will talk about the East Bench, the West Bench. The rodeo is on what's called the Red Lodge Bench, right? So it's exactly one of these things.